Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Everardo Resendiz, known around here as Coach Ever. I am a certified executive and business coach here in Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. And today I have Jamie Dendy, the owner, CEO of Jamie Dendy Consulting, as my guest. We're going to be talking about her business, the journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and cherry picking to what it really is like to own and operate a business. And so, if this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so, Jamie, without further ado, welcome. Thank you for
Good
being here
afternoon.
today.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
So will you share with us a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about your consulting business?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jamie Dendy, and I've got Jamie Dendy Consulting. I've been in business since about 2018, but I've been in the accounting industry for the last 25 plus years. And basically, we are a small business accounting firm and consulting firm, and we do tax strategy where we help businesses basically not just survive tax season, but we help them build lasting and generational wealth by growing and scaling their businesses. So we do a little bit of all of the things in regard to starting a business all the way to scaling and selling and all of the things.
Right. Wow. And so it is a full breadth of services that you're able to offer in that marketplace. And so set the stage for the viewers and the listeners. What does your current ownership structure look like? I mean, are you the sole owner? Do you have any partners in it?
So
Investors?
when I started originally, it was a solo solopreneurship, I think is how you say that.
Yeah.
I was doing it solo, and I had some contract workers and things that kind of came in and out to help because I just wanted to replace my income. I had my first son in 2017 and decided that I wanted the entrepreneur dream and be able to have a little bit more flexibility and freedom to be able to be mom a little bit more. And so I started that out and just wanted to replace my income, but still be able to share everything that I had knowledge wise in the business space. And then it just continued to grow, and we had clients and referrals and things that just grew and grew and grew. And so went from being in that space to hiring first employee and then the next employee and next employee, and it's just kind of grown a little bit more each year, and that we brought on new clients. And so now we have a team of 7, and we have hundreds of clients that we help around, and we are located based in Ruston, Louisiana. Our office is here, but we have clients that are all over the country. And I guess that's pretty much, I'm now consider myself the CEO of the company and not just the owner of the company.
There you go. And so, when we start when we start doing what we do, we normally have these very practical goals, right? Like, we know there's a certain threshold of income that we need to reach. How long did it take you to get there?
How long did it take to get from the solo to hiring or?
No, to where you were replacing your income, right?
Oh, ooh. Well, because I was kind of doing it as a side hustle on the side a little bit before, I feel like I had kind of a jump start to that.
Yeah, you had a running start.
I did. I actually was working for a local company in West Monroe, and I was his CFO, and I had clients that I had just done on the side, kind of deal, a little side hustle. And so I already had a handful of clients that I started with, some that I actually still work with, surprisingly, and it's been, 8 years now. And I guess I would say that I was able to replace that within 6 months.
Awesome.
Um, Whenever I figured out, I'm making this in salary and this is what I'm bringing in. If I could focus more on that, then I could flip that. And it went from, I've got family that was like, I thought you just wanted 10 clients, and that's grown and grown. It's like, well, it just kept growing into a thing that there was a need. And so that's where I think a lot of people, a lot of times go into businesses of like, what is it that I can bring to the market and what can I do? And we kind of looked at it in the reverse of what is the need and how can I fill that? And it was a lot easier to kind of go into the market in that place, and it just kept growing.
Right. So you saw the gap and you said, I fit in there.
Absolutely.
That's my space. I love it. Well, and so as CEO nowadays, what's your role? What do you currently do for Jamie Dendy Consulting?
That has been, man, I would say that has been the biggest struggle as an owner, and delegating and stepping back, because what a lot of times when clients come to us and want to start a business, and what their why is and that sort of thing, it is a, I'm not going to say a struggle, but they consider it their baby. And this
Yeah,
is my baby and I created it, and so to put that into the control of someone else, to delegate that to someone else and not have uh, be the one that's kind of managing and moving, it definitely is a shift in that aspect. But I would say currently now I'm able to step back, um, and spend more time with family and do a lot of the things that, whenever I originally started, like I said, freedom and wanting that
yeah.
flexibility, you really have to dive in and be, 100%. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride. And we kind of joke around here and say, if you don't want to burn it to the ground at least once a month or once a week,
You're not doing it hard enough.
doing it right. it can be it can be one of the hardest things, but it can be one of the most rewarding, especially when you have an impact that you can affect so many different aspects of your life, your employees' lives, your clients' lives, and your community. And so I think that's where it really hits home for me, and being able to step back a little bit more and giving opportunities to more people. And it's not just me anymore, and delegating those things, and but still having a thumb on kind of all of what's going on. And
Right.
I like to still have the conversations with the clients, and it's still all about relationships and everything. So
Right.
that's what I would say.
So, Jamie, I mean, this is an interesting point because people who, start business, whatever they do, they can be a mechanic and they just start their own shop or, hairdresser or, a tax accountant, right? Um, they, um, they're good at what they do normally. They can probably look at somebody else doing the work and say, yeah, this needs to be done differently. But once you're in that role, right? Um, you know, what becomes insufficient, right? And so the first threshold to cross is that of, okay, may have all these skills and all these things, but how do I get on to the next one? What do you do to get past that to, yeah, I need to bring people on board. And I say that because, the story of business that goes along in everywhere we see is, you're there. You have it down. You have the business, the employees, the car, the house, the lifestyle that everybody wants, but they don't get to see what it took to get there, right? And so, how would you describe that?
Oh goodness, that is such a loaded question.
I know.
I think, okay, so I'm going to start with and say, so many people come to us, and myself included, whenever I started, of the I don't know what I don't know. I know I have something that I can offer. I know that I can have something that I can, scale or bring to the market, kind of thing. But I don't, whether it's baking cakes or working on a vehicle, like you said, or construction, but understanding all of the other pieces of operating a business, and
Yes.
employees, and healthcare, and taxes, taxes, taxes.
Yes.
And I think that's one that I feel like 90% of the phone calls that we get when we talk to clients and things is, I just don't know what I don't know. And that is a very vulnerable place to be. And it's a very hard place to be, because you can make or break your business or your, personal life and financial lives on that. I would say that as far as how to, hmm,
Breakthrough.
yeah, I think it's one that we always ask the question of what is your why? That's
Yeah.
where I start with everybody. Why did you, yeah, why do you want to start this business? Why? What is it that you want to, do? Because when we talk about the roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship, it's going to be hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And so you have to be really hyper focused on what your why is, because when it gets hard, you need to be able to push through that because of your why. And so that gives you the ability to have a bigger impact on whatever it is in your business, that you can bring to, and like I said, with employees and with clients and with your community in that aspect. So I would say that it's knowing what your why is to be able to figure out all of the things. When you're talking about the hurdle of shifting over and delegating and those types of things, it's just releasing control to a certain extent. Especially when you have the why and then you have the end goal and trying to jump to what that is and the scaling, it can be hard to let go because you're so used to doing it all and building a team. And I would say the one biggest piece when it comes to building a team that I have found is that is the one piece of the business that you cannot have control over, and to a certain extent, because people are people.
Yeah.
They're going to have their own issues and things. And so it's definitely one that you can't control that. You can put things into place and everything, but you cannot control that. And so that is, I guess, the one of the number one things that people struggle with whenever they call, and things of like, it's just like the hiring and firing and dealing with all of the people in the
Right.
business. That's what makes it.
And truly and honestly, having the right people around you when you're trying to build something makes a huge difference. But you also have to be the kind of person that they want to be around. And so it takes growth. It takes you being able to self evaluate, right? And acknowledge where is it that I am falling short. And so,
Well, I want to throw out too and say, as many people that we have that come and sit, we have these lovely reclining chairs. We call this kind of our therapy sessions, if you will, in our office. But in reality, as many people come to us to start businesses, we actually talk people out of starting businesses because they don't understand. Like you said, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't realize the magnitude of what all, it's not just the financial, the emotional, the spiritual, like the drain that it can have. And again, if you don't go back to what your why is, getting through that. And sometimes just because you feel like you have a really good product or offering or something, it might not be something that the market is ready for, or that it might be better for you to go work for someone. And that's a hard thing to have that conversation, but we really try hard to direct people and understanding, what it looks like, because obviously our whole business is helping businesses from the ground up and helping them to be successful. So having
yeah,
those hard conversations too.
those are necessary, and truly, you're doing them a disservice if you encourage them and they're not in the place where they can succeed. And that's the issue. That's
100%.
why we started doing this initiative of the business spotlight, because so many people go into it with 2 feet in, eyes closed, and hoping that things work out.
What's
And
a business
sometimes it
plan?
does.
What's a business plan?
Yeah, yeah. But and sometimes it works. I mean, some people do have the ability, and we haven't gone to those like that's my story. No, that's not gonna be it. That's the 1%, the 2% that are the exception to that rule.
Mhm.
And we blow it out as if this is gonna be the story for everybody. So this is a very, very interesting topic. We're gonna move on from there because no, we're not gonna cover what we need to cover today, but
Yes.
maybe we need a follow-up interview with just that part.
Forever on
Um,
that.
And so let's move to what makes your business so special. Like, who you mentioned you work with business people, but within that whole industry of business owners, is there a segment that perhaps feels more to you or your team? Like these are the people that are close to our heart. Um, if I am in that audience, how do I know that I'm a good fit for you?
Gotcha. So this is one that I have, or I won't say have, I did struggle with. And I think a lot of business owners do, is trying to figure out who your target customer is. And so I would say I fought it. I fought it for so long because I wanted to be able to help everybody. And I was like, I have so many, I have so much experience and I have so much knowledge that I can help everybody. But the problem is, especially when it comes to marketing, is that if you don't know who you're talking to no one, because nobody can relate to. And when you're talking about the relationships and being able to understand, you have to know who what your why is, and then who it is that you're actually wanting to serve so that you can have that marketing message. So I would say that business owners that are, when it comes to the accounting side, because we do have two kind of different, they go hand in hand as far as the
Yes.
accounting world, but business owners that basically want to keep more of the money that they make, creating generational wealth and having like clear financial strategies. When it comes to the industries that we work with, a lot of is real estate, service-based businesses, regardless of whether it's making $100,000 a year or $100 million a year. We kind of have a plethora. QuickBooks is my jam. We're not going to talk about the changes that they've recently made because it's a little sober subject at the moment this week. But
Every change is supposed to be positive, right? It may not feel as such when it happens, but hey, we adapt and we overcome.
yes. So, but QuickBooks is my jam, and that's something that I've been a QuickBooks Pro advisor and elite user for 20 plus years. And I'm actually a reseller for the last several years of QuickBooks. And so a lot of people come to us and we can get the discount for the clients when we set it up, or even just purchase it for them versus them going directly to Intuit. And a lot of people think that they can do it themselves, and they can, but they can get a discount if they come through us. And that's one that I try to push out. We don't market that as much just because it's they're very particular on how they allow us to do that. But I would say people that use QuickBooks or that want to use QuickBooks to assist them in their business. And then as far as whether it's, accounting, payroll, sales taxes, payroll taxes, all of the things that go into operating of a business in that aspect, we handle. And like I said, revenue wise, there's not really a threshold in that aspect because we have such a broad range. But industries wise, we kind of narrow it down to that service-based contractors, real estate, small to mid-sized businesses in that aspect that use QuickBooks.
Love it, love it. And so, I'm sure you're not the only one in your market that is offering these type of services. So the question is always, why you? Why? What makes you unique? Why should people choose you over anybody else?
I always love this question because of the fact that people always ask me, like, who's your competitor? And I'm like, I personally don't think I have any competitors here locally. And the reason why I feel that way is because, number one, we aren't an accounting firm in the aspect of a typical CPA firm. A lot of times people will tag us, I'm looking for a CPA. And the biggest question, and the thing that I want to push out there so much, is when people ask about finding a CPA because they want to start a business. Most CPAs are focused on compliance and making sure that the entity is set up and they have all of the pieces and everything. And so that's wonderful, but not all of them do sales taxes. Not all of them do payroll and payroll taxes and things. And they just really do a lot of tax prep. Not all of them, but some of them. And so competition wise, we go, I guess I would say, beyond the bookkeeping and doing the tax prep. We actually help clients to strategize and design their business for profitability and long-term growth, and based off of whatever their goals are. And then whenever we focus back on the tax strategy side of it as the foundation and being able to help them keep that money in their pocket so that they can invest in things that are income producing or growing their business to be able to, set it up for selling it, whichever direction that they want to go, pass it down to their kids or something. We look at all that from the get-go versus trying to do it after the fact. Or I'll just use the quick example of, how do you know where you're going if you don't know your numbers? And if you're waiting until tax season to file the taxes for 2024, people have filed extensions and they're not even due until next month. They have no clue where they're at right now. And they're making, business plans and signing leases to grow or buy new inventory and stuff. It's really hard if you don't know your numbers. So we really try to focus on that and figure out, where they're at to be able to help them figure out where they want to go. I think that would be the difference.
And so, again, being that you're not the only one that is providing these type of services, although I'm sure nobody does it like you do, right? What is the one thing you wish more people knew about Jamie Dendy Consulting?
I guess I would say, don't wait until tax season to think about taxes, because that's going to cost you more money. Being proactive and planning ahead of time and knowing your numbers. I mean, honestly, waiting until taxes is one of the things I feel like when people walk in the door, and I had a client that came in this morning and she was so stressed out and so like left my CPA's office, and I always feel just, like I'm leaving the principal's office and I don't understand a lot of the things. And it's no offense to any of the CPAs or anything that are in the business here locally or elsewhere. It's time wise and the aspect that they just don't have enough time. There's,
Right.
so many people that are needing taxes and not enough people that are giving strategy and being able to proactively plan. And so that is one that I would say I wish people would not be so scared of taxes and realize that I guess the two things that I hear on a daily basis is I don't want to pay any more than my fair share of taxes, and I don't want to go to jail.
Right. The other extreme. And so let me perhaps add something to this conversation, because this is something that it certainly is a cultural issue, right? It has to do with the ability we have to talk about money in real terms, right? Um, the majority of people in business today come from, and I'm talking about the small business owner, right? They come from middle class, lower middle class, and we're breaking through, we're making, you know, advances. And it has been historically more like taboo. Discussions about money in the household, discussions about money with people outside the family circle. And so that certainly comes to play a factor when you are in business, right? And you need to open up and talk about not only what it is that you're doing in business, but how is that impacting you personally. And so um, that's a big thing to overcome, and I found it to be, true in many, many of these cases where we have to, in order to help, we have to look at what's under that hood, right? So it's a tall order, Jamie, and so that leads me to the question of marketing. Marketing isn't it's not just about making yourself known out there, but also in a big part, at least in this part, this type of business is educating people about what is
Mhm.
in front of them and where do they need to take action. And so, marketing is an area that everybody needs. Everybody, it's present that we know we're in business, we have to do it, or we get to do it. And so it's often an area that people struggle. They don't really have clarity about what it is they're going out to do. And so I'm always curious about what successful people are doing. Like, there's a lot that comes from word of mouth. You do great work, you focus
Mhm.
on getting results, and they send people your way, right? But beyond that, how do we reach out to those who need the help and they don't even have the time to lift up their head to say, I need help? How do you do it?
I focus on building trust through education, giving value on the post and the things that we, put out there. One of the things that this year, whenever we talked about, as our team, we always do kind of like vision boards and discuss, where we want to go for the year as a team, as professionally as well as personally. And I would say, so for me, for this year, it was like doing more speaking engagements, more podcasts, more networking, building relationships, and then being able to, again, like you said, referrals and things. When you're talking about the marketing side of it, it's all about relationships for people to relate to you,
Yes.
being able to, feel like they're a friend next door that you can actually, have a conversation with, especially whenever it comes to business and money, because people are very sensitive about money. And so for me, it is a huge piece of, just to touch briefly on the trust aspects of that, because it is so sensitive in that aspect. But when we're talking about the marketing piece of it, client referrals is one of the best. Word of mouth, like you said, is one of the best marketing tools that you can get. When people talk about the service, the quality, the product, whatever it is that they're talking about, they're gonna send people your direction and everything. And so when it comes to the problem, I feel like people run into, and I ran into this myself, was how do I turn it on and off? when I get to the point that I'm like, hey, I need more business right now, how do I get more referrals? How, oh, we got too many. Now we got to turn it off. And that's when it comes into like figuring out the marketing side of it and doing, do I start doing ad campaigns or do I not? And social media and all of the things that help you in that aspect. It's a strategy. Again, it goes back to the same thing with business and understanding that you could put out there, you know, whatever it is that you wanted to do, sales or webinars or discounts and things on there. But if you circle back to, if you don't have a knowledge of what your numbers are, of where you should be focusing on, and you
Yes.
don't have a system in place and processes of how to take it as you scale, it could fail miserably. And that's where people sometimes grow really, really fast and then they can't handle the income or the influx that comes in. And it's one that, excuse me, I heard a phrase the other day and it said, you need to stay small enough, long enough. And so then you can be big enough soon enough. And I thought that was really like, because the fact that so many people get that, like, oh, let's go bigger, let's go, and then when you increase your revenue, they think they need to increase their expenses, but it doesn't always balance out in that
Right.
strategy, right? And so keeping your cost as low as possible to continue to grow and not always hiring all the people right away, or maybe you need to so that you can focus your energy on other things. And I guess just to end that with, we're talking about marketing, but when it comes to just the business in general, it is a true fact that most business owners start a business because they have something that they are just great at, but they don't have all the other tools. And so at what point do they make the decision to start delegating those things?
Right.
And that's where we come into place a lot of times and help direct people and say, like, hey, you could be sitting in your office going through your bookkeeping or your taxes, or you could be going out and selling and making money. What's moving the needle for you in your business? And if that's marketing, then let's hire somebody to do marketing, because if that's not your wheelhouse, then don't go through the pain of it. And I think that's where people have to figure out, again, going back to their why and what it is that you're so good at that made your business what it is. Focus on that and delegate those other things, and you will grow and be so much more joyful and given what your God-given talents are to grow and scale your business.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Thank you for that answer. Well, just as a matter of course, and because I'm always interested in seeing what people are doing, what do you use for a CRM? I mean, I'm sure you get phone calls all the time, and there's people to follow through with. Uh, and this is interesting because we get that question a lot. So, what do you use?
We have a couple of different softwares and task managements and things that we do use. I would say for us, we started using Go High Level this year,
Yes,
and we've had
outstanding.
ups and downs, still learning all the things and getting a lot of the stuff. We've done a full on, we're actually fixing to launch, hopefully by the end of this month. We've been doing like a 6-month project on relaunching our website and all of our funnels and everything through that, to be able to push that out a little bit more than we have in the past as far as the marketing side of it. So that's
What was the
going
other
from
software?
people calling my personal cell phone number to shifting that CEO role of, now we have the team that answers the phone and the team
Yes.
that handles and everything. There's still the clients that like to call me personally, and I will gladly take those conversations and those phone calls, but keeping everything separated in that aspect is, for work-life balance, it is a definite need for
It's
business owners.
it is a requirement when you get to a certain level. And so, okay, so we spent a bunch of time focused on the business and sharing some of those practices with our audience. Um, and so I just want to take a step back and dive a little bit more into that journey, although we did talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
Um, the why do you choose and all these, and which really drives what you try to lead your customers with, right? But as you look at this journey that you've been so far, um, what would you say has been that moment? You know which one we're talking about? That one which you knew you were either going to cross that, you were going to go into that no man's land, or you were going to fold. That obstacle that was in your way that you needed to overcome. Can you recall that?
The obstacle that I needed to overcome.
The biggest one, right?
I think that, I mean, I would just go back to what we just talked about as far as delegation. I think that stepping out, because a lot of times business owners become the bottleneck and they don't realize that they're in their own way. And so I know, for instance, that I had one thing that was somebody brought it up to me the other day. I had one thing that was holding me back 2.5 years ago, I guess it was. And I'm struggling with something else that's similar. And she asked me the question of, well, what, and not to go off the tangent of that, but I do want to say a business coach or a mentor, business mentor is key, I think, in being in business, because having someone to bounce things off of. But so this was my business coach that I was talking with. And she said, what was the one thing that was holding you back? And what did you do to get out from under it? And I said, it was delegating. As soon as this thing that I was struggling with and I was procrastinating on and I was just beating my head against the wall, and I was just like, I just can't deal with it. And so I delegated, and the stress relief, and it actually got accomplished. And it was like, oh, I didn't even have to do that. And so taking that step, because only you can do it in your head. Nobody else has the ability to. I feel like entrepreneurs are kind of like that. It's like nobody can do it as good as I can. And so I've read books in the past, and I can't remember the name of one of them right now, but it's like how to basically create more time. And it's a constant
Buy
thing.
back your time.
Yes. I can't remember Peter Lencioni or somebody that.
No, that will be Dan Martell.
Yes. Basically, I'm always, I hear people constantly, but it only takes me 5 minutes. It only takes me 5 minutes. It only takes me 5 minutes. Well, 5 minutes adds up, and now it's an hour, and you could get that time back if you would just put into, here's a SOP for it, and here, you do it. And now you just created time. And how amazing does that feel? Because now you can focus that on something that's going to move the needle, or spending time on something that is meaningful to you and your family and that sort of thing. So I would say that would be the
That's
key.
it. That
Yeah.
was the no man's land you needed to cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. I love it. And look, this is a common theme with business owners, right? Um, it's it's not, and we know, okay, that it isn't that other people can't do.
Right.
It is that we got it. I got this down. It isn't something that we need to redo. There's no need for it. Well, as long as you continue in that thinking, things aren't going to progress. It's just going to continue happening the same way they have been happening. We move from there to, I'm going to go control. I'm going to let somebody else do this. They start, and then you move into the real treasure, which is, oh my God, they're doing stuff that I didn't even think about. And they're just taking it and going leaps and bounds away from where I was. And
Surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you,
yeah,
that have more knowledge than you and skill than you. And man, the way that you can basically, 2x, 5x, 10x what you're doing, because you brought these people in that have more experience and more knowledge, and that is their wheelhouse. And the things that I thought were so painful, they love doing. And it's like, when you can find that balance in there, that definitely makes a good team. And then when you talk about, what your mission and your vision for your company, it all plays into how you take your business and bringing on good team and employees and that sort of thing.
love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So let's just take a quick look at what comes next, right? Let's fast forward. Where do you see these in the next 3 to 5 years?
Where do I see my business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Where do you see Jamie in the next 3 to 5 years?
Whew. Well, I would say I love the trajectory that we're taking right now. We just recently did a vision kind of deal with our 6 months into the business with our team and figuring out where everybody kind of wants to be. And we're really happy with the service offerings that we have. We just want to be able to reach more and have more impact with more businesses. I personally have real estate investments that we do and would like to do a little bit more of the real estate side of it, doing more speaking engagements and things of that. Basically what we talked about, the branding side of it and building trust through education. Financial literacy is something that you talked about kind of earlier in that aspect, and what teaching people, because so many people don't know what they don't know, and they are stressed about it. And it should be something that is enjoyable, and should be something that, gives you that, people have that desire for freedom and flexibility and have a bigger impact, and to be able to help someone else make that come to fruition and how they can impact. Because I know what I can do impact wise with my team and with my family, but to see that happen with my clients and their teams and their families and then the community, and it's just a domino effect. And it's so awesome to see how God can just come around and make all of these happen, because obviously he has all of the dealings with everything,
That's
and
right.
how that's giving it over to him.
Yeah, we think we make the plans, but we don't.
Never.
All right. We have certainly covered a lot of ground in this conversation today. And for those people who are watching, I recommend that you save these, you look at it again. There's a lot of great nuggets here. They truly can find they can lead inspiration to other people as we go into this world of business. And so as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions, Jamie. So quick top of head answers for each, okay? What is the key to success for you?
Consistency and relationships, building
What is your
relationships.
one what is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Don't wait until you're ready. Start now. Learn and delegate.
All right. What is one book that you're reading now or you have read that you absolutely think everybody should get their hands on?
I'm looking over here because I have it open on this side. High Road Leadership by John Maxwell.
John Maxwell, outstanding. Everything that he writes is very inspirational, and it really can get you to move. So,
Absolutely.
if you had to choose only one area of your business that you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would that
Ooh, as much as I hate to say it, automations on our back end processes and things, AI, that aspect of being able to take
be? Sure.
out, yeah, and automating it saves so much time, and it brings efficiencies and things into the business that it's just unparalleled is what it can do to help people scale businesses.
Love it. Love it. And so, before we get into the final question of the day, Jamie, how can other people learn more about you or your company? How can they get in touch with you?
So we have obviously our website, www.jamiedendy.com, and we have our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, Jamie Dendy Consulting. And that would be the two places. We have our phone number, 318-788-2099, which goes to our CRM.
Good. And so, if they had questions about, whether this is a good fit for them, what they do?
So on our website, we actually have, we offer a 15-minute quick call where if you're not sure if we may be able to be a good fit or we could help you with something, you can always book a quick call and we can jump on a call and see what your problem is. And if we want to start a business or want to help you with your QuickBooks or your tax strategy, and we can decide if it's a good fit or not, and then direct you from there.
Awesome. 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 So, Jamie, last question of the day. What do you find inspires you the most today?
I would say knowing what my God-given talents are and being able to implement that with clients and seeing them transform their businesses and their lives when they realize what's truly possible and what God can provide to them and the impact that they can have, like I said, not only currently here with just a little bit of faith and a little bit of, like I said, start now and do it, because you don't ever want to have regrets.
Take initiative. That's what it takes. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all these with us. Thank you to the audience for watching and sharing these. You never know who you might inspire by having them listen to this interview. And so until next time, see you soon.
Bye.